And just look at this. Look at how well engineered this boat is. Do you need to go up, forward? Not really. Side walkways here as well, which is no problem to walk down. You've problem there all the way down, and you've got another handhold up there on the top. Welcome back, sailors. I'm here at the Annapolis Boat Show. It's here behind me. It's the Spring Boat Show. We are going to look at some fantastic yachts, a couple of American-built yachts. Also, there's a catamaran that I'm really interested in, and we've got the aluminium Alubat French-made boat. It's the Alubat 370. The owner is here with this particular yacht. We're going to have a look at it. It's a little bit different. I think you're really going to enjoy it. Okay, I'm going to introduce you now to Kevin Leigh, the owner of this wonderful boat. It's an Alubat 370, all the way in from France. We're here in Annapolis. Kevin, you want to tell me a little bit about this boat?
Sure. Look, so I was on about a 3-year journey to get here. I took possession of her in December of 2025. A nice, wonderful time to be sailing the Bay of Biscay in mid-December through the end of the year. And then we put her on cargo at the beginning of January and brought her into Florida and spent some time in Florida. And then just recently in early March, sailed her up from Florida, up and around Hatteras, up into the Chesapeake Bay here in Annapolis. So it's been a good boat so far. We've put just under 1,200 miles on her so far. So we know all the parts that kind of come a little loose and need special attention, and proper shakedown cruise.
Yeah. Well, a new boat, there's always going to be a few bits that need a little bit of tightening and tweaking and things like that. I have to say, it's a fabulous cockpit. I'm standing here in the cockpit here with Kevin. It's a huge cockpit. I mean, was that one of the points that drew you to this boat?
Actually, this hard Dodger is what got it for me, because like when we were on our passage, if you're standing where you are and you stay one step foot inboard, you're now inside, completely inside from the wind fatigue that happens when you're offshore. Okay. So you're not like constantly in the wind fatigue, which was huge. And then when you're on watch, this was the favorite position for everyone.
You're well sheltered.
Chill here, and you put your iPad repeater there, so you have all of your instruments staring at you, and away you go.
There you go. Just count the hours go by.
You count the hours go by. It was. I have a diesel heater on board, so when we made the left turn at the Hatteras buoy and the temperature dropped substantially, it was super nice to be able to go inside and in 70-degree weather, coming out of 30-degree weather when you're coming off watch.
Oh, it's lovely,
So that was good. I mean, that was definitely a big selling feature for me, and the fact that everything can be trimmed from the cockpit.
I noticed that. You've got a serious amount of clutches here in the cockpit.
Yep.
So you can do everything from the shelter of the cockpit.
Alubat, it's not a custom boat. That's something I learned during the process. Like, this aluminum is done on a jig at the factory, right? And it's all welded by hand. So like where the bulkheads go, where the whole design, that ain't changing. But you can personalize a little bit. So like some things I did is I had them put in a second set of fair leads and clutches so that I can trim the Genoa or the staysail from the cockpit winches, as well as I can rerun them through these turn buckles here or turning blocks here and trim them from here if I prefer to that. So it gave me extra optionality. Of course, the Code Zero and the symmetrical spinnaker get routed back to there as well. But like everything is here, and so it was kind of in that like, well, put it in there for I don't know what I'm going to use it for. So it works really, really well. The decks are nice and wide, which is great. The chain plates are fully welded, so there's no like chain plate bolts to check or anything like that. It is welded as part of the aluminum structure. It's a bendy rig. That's another thing we learned about it.
Okay.
You can preload this thing, especially with the check and running stays.
Well, the French like their performance, don't they? They're serious
about
sailing.
Been upgrading the sail package. I went with the standard package that they kind of offered you with the pointy top main and the 105 jib, and I've been adding through the guys here in Annapolis at Ullman a proper Code Zero, proper staysail, symmetrical spinnaker. Working through a kind of better sail package. But if I was staying in France, I would probably just have gone with what they were doing.
Tell me about the doors into the companionway.
So this was
there. That's on purpose?
That is very much on purpose. They are. It's a watertight door. You have to use a special kind of star key, and you lock it down. And it's watertight in a big way. I mean, it'd be really difficult to get water in here, but it's what's also nice is you don't have to deal with any of those boards.
No, that's it.
Or like shimmying stuff around, or those piston mechanisms you see in a lot of boats, which I'm like, that's bound to break as soon as water gets in there.
The cascade system
right,
where they bring.
I'm sure they work really well. I've never used them for a long time, but the thing that for me on this boat that has been, I call things like, are they features with a benefit or features in search of a benefit, right? You know, like, are they part of the sales process and do they actually are a benefit? So one of the things that's been super beneficial is there's just not that many systems on this boat, and they designed it that way by purpose, right? You've got the DC and AC is completely separated, right? It's not on the same panel, it's a completely separate thing. I've got one HVAC unit, one hot water heater. That's the only thing that runs on AC on this boat other than the outlets. The steering mechanism, it's one cable that goes around. There's 2 rudder posts. They're connected with the control arm. So if your steering cables fail, your rudder posts are still fully operational with the autopilot, and you can steer the boat with the autopilot.
Okay.
And so like, it's just like, that's the one thing that I've discovered with this boat is it's just like, stuff's easy to figure out. It's not like you need an advanced degree and a software consultant to.
Well, this is an expedition. This is an expedition boat.
Yeah, no, like
it's designed, to go places that other boats don't go.
It's designed to go places that other boats won't go. It's when I was going through my my kind of Venn diagram, thinking about like what I actually wanted, I had been on a many-year journey kind of figuring that out. I wanted something that could have shallow draft, fully insulated hull, so I could use it in kind of 3+, 4 seasons, without worry. I wanted something that had their own separate shower, like not a wet head. I wanted deck salon so I could not feel like I'm down in a coffin. So that just kept like bringing me to these like French-made boats because,
ticks all the boxes.
And I, picking this one over the other ones, I went and visited places and talked to folks, and I just like these guys the best, quite frankly.
Okay. Did you?
I wanted under 40 feet. Not many aluminum boat manufacturers make a boat under 40 feet, under 12 meters. It's kind of the limit I set for something I wanted to handle myself.
Yeah.
It's 100% aluminum. The whole boat is 100% welded aluminum. There's no bolts on any of the structure. I had them make it a little bit bigger than standard so that I could accommodate Starlink and antennas. And that's the Starlink Mini. That sucker barely drew any power at all while we were, while it's idle at sea.
Okay, so you extended this out?
Yeah, the normal arch comes to like here.
Yeah.
And we extended it about 20 centimeters on either side to accommodate. But they could do that because they fabricate this themselves in-house. So like extending some extra material wasn't a big deal for them.
Yeah, so that's a
lot of people in the chat rooms have been commenting we should all do that. But it's fully integrated, the davits, everything. It's life raft, everything's super accessible. Platform is good. I haven't figured out my dinghy yet, but I'll get there.
Oh, okay, so you haven't purchased a dinghy yet?
No, but I'm really thinking about, because the width is so wide here, one of those like Weaver systems where you just clip it in and fold it up
and pull it,
and let it sit inside there. But
keep it nice and secure
while it's underway, and then we go from there. But I went with Garmin for the electronics. It's not a lot of Garmin installed in France, but the people that Alubat use, they are highly skilled across all the electronics manufacturers. So
the standard would probably have been B&G.
B&G is the standard package because Navco is a big European company.
Okay.
There's lots of lines, it's all set up, but it's like she's a good boat. What I'll tell you what was the topic of conversation yesterday at the show was speed and like how fast does it actually sail, and I was trying to pull it up in here to see what our actual like max speed. So our max speed so far has been 12.1.
12.1.
Yeah. Now that was in the stream, in the Gulf Stream.
So you a bit of
so we had a bit of a push. But even if we had 3 knots of push, that means
Oh yeah, we're still
pushing
9
nine and a half knots.
Incredibly respectable for a 37-foot boat.
For a boat like this.
Yeah. That was under.
We were averaging 8.5, 9.5 the whole trip up, and we were also pretty much on that ideal kind of like reaching mode where we were like 60 to like 120 most of the time at 15 to 25 knot winds. So like this boat has a hard chine in the back.
Yep.
And when you get just enough heel for the boat to sit in that chine, she just rips.
That's a sweet
She
spot,
locks
yeah.
in, because you can lock the boom in with the A-frame main sheet style here, which took some getting used to, but now I'm a fan. You still got to use the main vang, is what we learned, but when it sits in the chine, you can lock that boom in, she rips.
And that's it.
She rips. You don't need full centerboard down. You go about 2/3 of the way down, and boom.
What's it like on the helm then? It's
Super
nice
light.
and easy.
Our pilot barely has to work. Barely has to work.
Well, there's the French naval architecture.
I do wish the rudders were a little bit longer, but that there's no way you could design them longer and have the thing be able to sit on its own bottom.
Yeah.
Right.
Why do you feel that you're about to lose it sometimes?
Sometimes when we really were going fast and stuff like that, and we were starting to come across waves and stuff like that, you wish you had a little bit deeper of a rudder, but it's got twin rudders, so it wasn't that much, but you could definitely like pick up when you got the weather helm.
Yeah, you were on the edge there, yeah.
Yeah.
But
it was a very stable boat. You just wish you had a little bit more to. And the rudder posts enter at the chine, so they actually enter above the waterline.
Oh, that's good.
So, I mean, look, if it fails, you're still going to get water coming in, but you're not going to have that hydro pressure. Water pressure just pushing volumes of water into your boat.
And they're aluminium, of course, so you're not worried about the orca attacks that we
if an orca can rip that off, well, then
it deserves to have it.
I'll give him a doggy snack too.
Tell me about all the handholds here.
Yeah, so some of these are standard, some of these are non-standard. I asked them to add additional handholds here to get in and out of the cockpit. And there's handholds up here too as well.
Okay, so which ones are the ones that you specified?
So actually, none of these are standard. These ones here are not standard because there's like a rounded edge to the Dodger that's naturally here. But as soon as you put canvas on, I didn't like that feel, so I asked them to weld these on.
That was a good call.
And they were again. That's in like the personalization feature where it's like they're doing the welding themselves. So like putting extra material on and welding it is it's a couple extra bucks of material, but it's not the it's not
shipping it out to get it done somewhere else.
It's not changing. I take off the canvas clears on this design. I think it's a feature. Not quite sure if it's in that benefit category yet, because when the clears come down, they're like here, and you're in a kind of a little bit of like a phone booth.
Yeah, okay, a little bit claustrophobic there underneath.
And what we realized was, if it's raining, you're wearing your fallies anyway, and this is a way more comfortable position.
Yeah.
And with them here, you can't sit like this.
That's it. I mean, and you're going into,
you're going into the wind, you're going into the waves.
Yeah,
so
you're going to be dry. Yeah.
I'm gonna redesign something around that, but not sure yet.
Bring it back an extra.
Well, what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to take the canvas that's here, which is like a sun bimini that goes across to there, and create some sort of rigid structure to create a ridgeline for it.
Of course, you could do that, yeah. And of course, you'll still have headroom on that canvas.
Oh, you got plenty of headroom. Yeah, I mean, one of the guys that came north with me, he's a tall fella, so we were tucked in under there, no problem. All the cleats are welded, like everything's just like.
I mean, it's battleship type.
I mean, again, like a weld can fail. It's not impossible, but. It would take a lot
it certainly would
to do that. A big thing with these aluminum boats, which if you're new to it, is you have to be super concerned with electrolysis and to deploy an isolation transformer.
Yeah,
like it's an expense that I was like, man, like that's a pricey piece of kit to have, but I don't have to worry about it at all now.
Okay, that's all taken care of automatically.
Yeah. I mean, you still have to worry about straight current in the marinas and stuff like that, which is I have a sacrificial anode over the bow right now.
Okay, it's going to take care of that.
But then there's 2 on each rudder and 1 at the end of the prop. Yeah, so there's 2 on each end of the skegs. 2 prop is 4, 6, 1, 7, and then a sacrificial one that goes over the bow 8. So, and that's literally to do with straight current and stuff like that.
Yeah.
That's in the water.
Yeah, that's your neighbors.
That's my
neighbors causing problems.
Right,
it's not this boat itself.
But yeah, but the auto switching isolation transformer, I can go from both currents, both voltages.
Yeah.
And
not a problem.
It just switches automatically, so it's kind of cool that way.
And you were telling me there's one cable on the steering that connects both wheels.
Yeah, so there's a chain at each one of these that goes across a sprocket here. The chain goes down to just regular aircraft cable, right? That goes through a pulley system to the control arms for the rudder. And it moves it. That's
Okay.
it.
So, in terms of an emergency tiller,
Yeah.
there is something that.
Oh yeah, there's
that
one on either
latches in,
side.
is there? You needn't go take
yeah.
it out. Just
If you take
have
a look at
and
that
see
hatch
how
right
it's,
there.
yeah, how that works. Okay. Oh yeah. There's the rudder stock coming
Yeah.
up there underneath.
Yeah, I can open it up for you if you want me
No,
to.
no.
Yeah.
I just wanted to have
And there's
an
a
idea where it was.
there's the bars inside here. The bars inside here.
yeah,
You pull out the bar,
that.
you put it in there. I mean,
that's
it takes a lot of force, but
Yeah, I know.
because I did test
It's
it. I put it in to see how much force I would need to turn a rudder. It's
You're
a
gonna
lot.
have muscles after that, won't you? It's
This is my primary. Still, I'm going to be adding. Garmin's autopilot is a touchscreen now. I really missed not having a physical button.
Yes,
They say
I
it works
agree.
great. It worked great. But if you have gloves on,
Yeah.
it's kind of a pain in the butt a little
Yeah.
bit. So we're going to install. Garmin has a physical buttons for your autopilot. We're going to put it right here.
Okay.
That's on order.
Yeah.
But I don't have my chart plotter. Everything like that is all up there. It's above the companionway.
Oh yeah. Okay. You got a 7-inch, is it?
Yeah, it's a 7-inch. You could probably put a 9-inch there, but tell you, we didn't really need it.
No, well, you probably have that repeated on your.
Yeah,
phone
and
or
this in
iPad
here
or
and this
something
here.
like
It's
that. Okay,
Yeah.
we're going down the side decks now on the port side. So
yeah, nice wide decks. Jack line you clip in. You can go all the way up. You don't have to worry about having to unclip and from other things. It's a nice wide space up here. You got your jib tracks, your main sheet, which is again an A-frame. There's no traveler here. So when you tack, you have to release both sides and kind of move them over, but it's super controlled.
Yep.
So you never have any kind of crashing, boom, jibes or anything like that.
Isn't it? You don't need a jibe preventer or anything like that.
No, so you still use a preventer. So I moved one of the bales from the middle of the boom to the end of the boom, or I had someone do it for me, so that I have a clip point for a true preventer.
Yeah.
Once I get past, because once you get past these blocks here, you do need to prevent it out.
Okay.
In a more traditional preventer manner, and I run it up to one of these things up there.
Okay.
It's super easy to work at the mast. I didn't put steps all the way up. I just put a couple here at the bottom and a couple at the top, so you can stand up at the top if you need to. But you really don't need.
You can reach the top of that standing on the coach roof.
You
there,
can totally reach it.
Yeah.
You can totally reach whatever you need to do.
Yeah, that's nice, isn't it? Yeah, that's good.
I did. This was non-standard as well. I had them put a winch on the mast.
What's that for?
Well, so that I can, when I'm on the foredeck moving between soft sails, this is my single line halyard for the spinnaker.
Okay.
And this is the jib halyard, so I can swap those sails here without having to go back into the
Good thinking. Yeah.
to deal with that. If I want to drop a spinnaker, raise the code 0,
Yeah.
I can do that right from here. And in theory, I can do all of them from here, but I just can't lock them off here.
Yeah.
Inside here, I have
Oh, you got two more. Yeah.
brakes for that. Also helps when you're moving with the spinnaker pole. You don't have to go all the way back in there if you're on this deck.
Yeah.
But this is wide. I mean,
This is incredibly
you can
wide.
scooch
isn't it?
around without any problems. The sail lockers there, we stuffed all 3 sails in there, no problem, and we had room for lines. Which on this boat is definitely an option, and it cuts into your headroom on the forward cabin, but it doesn't cut into. It's only the last half of the headroom. It's not the front half of the headroom, so you got plenty of room to walk
Okay,
around.
so your feet are.
Tucked in underneath it, but
Yeah.
everything's a compromise, right?
Of course.
But without that, you have to store your sails basically in your technical room, and if you're to change sails,
you want them close.
you
to
want
hand
them up
there,
here,
don't you?
so you can get to them.
Yeah. I'm impressed with so much all the space that you have here.
It's a lot.
I mean, I could see. Well, I know
You can chill up out here, watch
chill.
sunsets and stuff like that.
Yeah. Throw a
It's
few cushions
it's
down
the
there
proper
and-
angle for your
Okay. Oh, yeah. It's ergonomic, is it? Yeah. It's
with a cushion. It works well.
It is. Yeah.
There's 100 meters of chain in there. Big spade anchor. It's a 20 kilogram spade anchor, I believe.
Okay.
Other features that are not standard. These second set of cleats are not standard.
Okay.
Highly encourage getting these. You only,
Oh yeah. Sorry, I hadn't noticed that. So you've got a cleat here and another cleat
So the
here.
bigger versions of the Omni, I believe 490, I believe they are standard, but don't quote me on that one.
Okay,
But
we'll
on
check
this
that
one,
one
you
out,
have to get them, and to me, they're in that must-have category.
What was the logic in that? Why?
Well, because if you're mooring, you have mooring lines going out, and then you also may have other lines you need to deal with. So like ones are designed for like more of like a mooring cleat setup, and one are more designed for a docking cleat setup.
Docking, okay. Yeah, which is great because you're not double. You know, you're not putting two lines on one cleat. There
exactly, which is
which can be a real pain in the neck. Yeah.
Kind of a stickler for stuff like that. I mean, this is.
And how many meters?
It's
of chain?
100 meters of chain.
100 meters of chain.
But that's kind of standard thinking in Northern Europe because you got to deal with giant tides.
Yeah, especially in France here.
Yep.
See 5 meter tides and all that.
This is that station I was talking about from Oman. This I put this in the must-have category as well.
Yep.
We used this way more than I thought we were going to use it.
Okay, is this your heavy weather?
It's a heavy weather sail, but it's not a storm jib.
Yeah.
It's not. It's still a little too big to be a storm jib.
Yeah.
I mean, you could reef it down and lock it if you needed to, but I haven't worked out that kind of sail plan what I want yet.
Okay.
If I do put it into like a racing campaign, I will definitely need a storm jib.
So can I ask Kevin what wind speeds? What have you maxed out on this?
We've been into the mid-high 30s on this boat so far.
Comfortable?
It's comfortable. Yeah. I mean, as long as you're sailing it right, you got the right, right sail plan up.
Yeah. You're not going to overpress it. Yeah.
It works. Yeah. I mean, I haven't been beating to windward in 30 knots of wind, but
no fun in that, is there?
No fun in that. They choose to run both the staysail and the jib sheets through the same blocks.
Yeah, that's
it works,
isn't it?
It's interesting because it's not designed to be a cutter rig, so only one is ever like active at one time.
Okay. Can you have two? Can you pull the two sails out? Can you run it as a cutter?
We tried. The slot's too small.
Okay. Yeah. So you're not going.
But we did use the staysail with the code 0.
Yeah.
And the slot was magical.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. And Kevin's going to tell us a little bit about inside the boat.
Yeah. So
in the saloon.
Sure. So. One of the things, again, was on my decision-making diagram was I wanted a raised saloon. I didn't want that kind of down and kind of that coffin-y kind of feel that comes with a lot of the other monohulls that I was looking at. So you actually sometimes have better visibility actually sitting in here or sitting where you're at over there, seeing out over the deck of the boat than you do back at the helm because the Dodger and then the deck salon gets in the way a little bit. I solved that with a camera at the top of the mast.
Okay, good. Yeah, good idea.
And but like you can sit here, and when like my preferred method, even when you're on a starboard tack, is you can put your foot right here on the end of this thing, and you're locked in, like you're not going anywhere.
Okay, yeah.
If you're going the other way. Sorry, that was on a port tack. Sorry, port tack. If you're on a starboard tack, you just kind of wedge in here.
Yeah, you're going to be,
and you're not going anywhere.
Take care of that. Yeah.
But and all this stuff's here. DC panels all here. Everything's wired down. It's pretty good. Where you're sitting here. One of the nice things is you can put your back to that wall there and put your feet up again as well. So if you've just come off watch, you're just trying to kind of decompress a little bit before you go to sleep. Yeah. You can sit there with your feet forward and kind of chill and everything. And with the electronics facing, inboard, you can always take a peek at whatever's going on without having to.
Oh, from over here you can.
From over there, you can totally see everything.
And have a look.
When you're underway, the kitchen, the galley. What's kind of cool about everything is like the mess that happens when you're underway stays contained in these areas, which was kind of cool. Like it doesn't. Like, you don't have it over there and flying around because you're like this. And once like things kind of calm down a little bit, you just clean everything into the sink and away you go.
Plenty of storage there underneath as well. I'm just looking at
so you got water tanks on this side. It's 380 liters of water, and then under the storage to here in the raised saloon is 480 liters of diesel, which is about 125 gallons. Okay. Freight core fuel filters, but like it's like the Millennium Falcon. You can hide people in these compartments.
Oh wow.
I mean, they're super deep.
They're deep, aren't they?
Yeah, super deep.
You've got extra. I suppose you could store certain things in there if you want.
There's all the through holes are welded.
Yeah.
So that's super good too. So one of the things you do have to make a decision with this boat is how many through holes you want and for what.
Okay, you're going to keep that to a minimum, obviously.
But you have to also think about, like, I don't have a water maker or a generator on board, so I asked them to put the through hole in for those in case in the future I ever want that thing. I mean, of course, you could probably find someone to drill you a hole and weld you a through hole, but the factory knows how to do that. So
Yeah.
that we have a Webasto heater on board.
Okay.
Tons of storage, as you can tell. All this is storage in here. I have one HVAC unit. The boat doesn't need more than that.
That's enough to cool the, yeah, just
It's
leave the
enough.
doors
It's
open
one, the
and-
intake is there. The outflow is there. You angle the vents down. The cool air drops to the floor, flows to the cabins,
Yeah.
fans. Like I've been in Florida with it. It's didn't have and because it's fully insulated. The only spots you get condensation are around the hatches.
Okay.
You don't get any condensation anywhere else,
That's
or I haven't
interesting.
gotten any condensation anywhere else yet. I'll put it that way.
Okay.
And the boat doesn't leak because it's fully welded. So like there's no water in the bilge.
Oh, yeah.
Nothing goes in the bilge. The shower
no
pan
joints.
drains to a there's a separate system for it. So like the shower pan and the HVAC don't go to the bilge.
Yeah.
They go to one of these like reservoirs, and when the reservoir fills up, then the reservoir pumps out.
Scavenge tank. We call it.
And then go from there.
Super.
But you can see it forward here what I was talking about with the sail locker and the separate shower.
Okay, little step down here
Yep.
into the
And there's
shower area.
again more storage.
Yeah.
Storage under your
Storage.
feet.
Yeah. Okay, we come down to where
Propane shut off is right below your feet too, right there. So
Okay.
you can get right to the valve and shut it off if you can't get to your tank if there's an issue.
Yeah. And what's this for? I noticed this yesterday.
So there is a design option if you want to put another fridge freezer, like a Dometic one here, if you want to, and then this is so you can access the fridge freezer. This comes out.
Okay.
I didn't opt for that. I put mine in the technical room,
I see.
a much bigger one. I put it's a 95 dual zone Dometic, so I can cool to different temperatures into different zones, and I got back all this storage.
Yeah.
You can see the centerboard mechanical
That's
system,
cool, isn't it?
system here. We took that cover off because yesterday I took it off like 10 times, and it was just like, I'm just going to leave this
Just
off.
leave it off. Let everybody look down. You can see fish swimming underneath your boat.
You can.
Fantastic,
And
yeah.
a cool, again, this goes into the feature that's a benefit category. So the compression post here, again, you can see it's fully welded, right? It's well welded to the boat.
Yep.
And it's welded up there. So when the water comes down the mast or comes down inside the mast, it doesn't go into the bilge. It goes into the centerboard compartment.
Okay.
So it goes drains right out of the boat.
Straight out.
Straight out of the boat.
That's cool, isn't
so any
it?
green water you get on the deck or anything
Yeah,
like
yeah,
that, it doesn't
straight
go into
out.
the bilge. It goes right down into there.
Get it off the boat as quick as possible.
Yeah, it gets
Straight
right off the boat into the water, which is super cool as well. Here's what I was talking about around the sail locker, where you lose like half of the headroom, but there's
Yep.
still so much headroom here that like
there
it's
is, yeah.
all it is your feet tucking in.
Yeah.
The hardest thing is making the bed because you gotta like do
Yeah.
boat yoga to get into
Crawl
there.
into
But
it.
like you can see, like, I mean, there's tons of storage,
There is.
tons.
Oh yeah.
I have 3 gumbo suits up underneath here.
Yeah.
And the bow thruster and all kinds of other stuff. I mean,
Okay,
it's a lot of
Got a
storage.
lot. And the dedicated shower.
Dedicated shower.
Yeah.
On the bigger models, it's a dedicated shower, but attached to the bathroom, to the head. This model is a totally separate shower, and it's fantastic because not only do you have a wet locker there above the engine panel, you can hang more stuff in here if you need to.
Yeah. And somebody can have a shower on.
And somebody can have a shower. There's a hot water heater. The batteries are all back underneath here. Super cool feature that's a benefit is with the Webasto heater, there's an outlet inside here.
Flick around
So
this way, yeah.
there's an outlet actually inside here for the Webasto heater.
Okay.
So when all of your foul weather gear is soaking wet,
Yep.
you put it in there. That does drain into the bilge, and it's heated.
Oh, it's gonna be
So
toasty.
so that when you have to go put it back on,
Yeah. Oh, it'll be a joy.
you're good to go.
Good. Good supper into the head.
Good to go. This is the head. I went with an all-electric head. It's all only freshwater, all electric.
Okay, fresh water, right?
Freshwater, all electric, but it's got the kind of heavy flush or light flush functionality. So you really, we used it the whole trip up here, and we didn't use a lot of water. We finished the trip up here with 4 guys on board.
Yeah.
With about 100 liters of water left.
Okay,
So,
and what was the total storage?
380.
380. Okay. So
And that was like, we use it all the time. That was all of our drinking water.
oh yeah, yeah.
Because
Okay, so it was.
I installed a purification system, so any water coming out of the tank goes through a UV filter. So
Yeah.
it's 100% purified water
Okay.
coming out of there. So anything that goes into the manifold
Yeah.
has been purified through UV.
Okay. Good.
That way you can drink it
You've got your
all you
little
want.
sink
But
there as well. Yeah, I mean, this is cool, isn't it? A little workshop in at the back.
Yeah, and that's a bed.
I was looking at that yesterday.
I flipped this over, and
Yep.
it becomes a sea berth with a
Okay.
lee cloth.
And
right now
what's the length there? You've got about 2 meters. Long, is it?
I'm just under. I'm 6 feet, so like I fit in there perfect. So I actually don't know what the actual length is, but it's all my tools and stuff are stored in there. There's tons of storage underneath there. Store stuff, tools, everything back in here is all spare anchors.
Yeah. And what have you got in the back?
That is where the AC and all the electronic systems are, as well as that other fridge freezer, which I have it propped open right now.
Oh yeah, okay, that's the fridge freezer. I was looking at that yesterday. I didn't.
If you want, I can show you back in here.
That goes right through to the lazarette in the back, does it?
Oh, this is the rudder compartment.
Okay.
I don't know if you have a flashlight. If not, I can get one. But you can see the thickness of the rudder stocks.
Yeah.
Right there.
Yeah.
In the system. It's my first boat. It's my first aluminum boat. It's my first boat of its size and weight. Everything else I've had has been substantially smaller.
Okay, so this is a big step up then.
It was, but my journey a little bit was I was looking for a house on the water with a dock that I can get a kind of tent kind of 20-foot, 25-foot boat, and then I got kind of frustrated with that process. And someone said, "Well, you like to sail so much. Why not just buy a bigger boat that you can actually live on for a long weekend or a week?"
Yeah.
And so that's how I got there. And then if not but for the variable centerboard and the deck salon, I would have never found Alubat. Like I didn't go like saying I'm going to go find Alubat. Alubat found me through data.
Yeah.
And some of their sail characteristics around like displacement to sail area and those kinds of things. If you build the sails right, and you build the plan right, this boat moves.
Yeah.
It really does.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, the French are all about performance sailing.
They are, and it's built right in that area where all those crazy Frenchmen and French men and women that go out to sea for a month.
I mean, they're hardcore, aren't they?
They are very hardcore. Solo sailing there is a normal thing.
Yeah, that's.
But I like to fish. We've caught fish off this boat. It's been pretty cool.
This was your choice, the wood color?
Yes, that is the standard wood color. I think there's one. This is the ash, I believe.
Okay.
As you can probably tell from my color scheme, I chose colors in about 5 minutes. Like just go neutral tones and get on about your way.
Yeah, that's it.
I wasn't buying the boat for color.
Psychedelic stuff.
All the lights here are red and white lights.
Okay.
They're all 12 volts.
Tell me about the table. Does this drop down to make another double or what?
I did not option for that. That is an option on here. I was struggling to figure out like when I would like need it or use it. And so rather than pay for it all up front and at once, I can always swap it out. You could swap out the posts.
Yeah.
These posts, you just undo them and you put the ones with the pistons in.
I mean,
this boat is comfortable with 4. 6, it would be tight, very tight, but it's very comfortable with 4 people on board. Plenty of space, plenty of food, plenty of storage. I mean, all this is storage underneath here. This is storage. That's all storage. Okay. Under here's all storage. Under here's storage.
Yeah. And tell me about the aft cabin. Is this your principal cabin, or do you normally sleep?
Yeah, so I tend to sleep here most of the time myself, just because I just like it a little bit better. But all the batteries and switches and stuff are in here. So all your battery switches are here.
Yeah. And
the battery banks and most of the main electrical systems is underneath this bed, and the hot water heater is in the back.
Okay, well. And are you running lithium?
I am not running lithium.
You're lead acid?
I went with, after some research, Victron makes a battery called a Supercycle AGM. It's primarily used in commercial marine activities. It doesn't have the weight savings that lithium does, but they've designed chemistry around it that it has many of the same discharge features of lithium. Okay. It doesn't take the full ampage like the lithium will take as much as you drive towards it, right? Yeah. But so there are 3 230 amp hour Victron Supercycle batteries. They are rated to, I think it's 600 discharges to 20%. I'd have to get that spec sheet, but it's a lot.
It's a lot for the AC and all. You can run the AC.
So the AC is after the inverter, but I don't use it inverted. I don't think I have enough power, or I probably have enough power, but that would be just to run that and not much else.
Okay.
But I didn't purchase that with the intention to run it off the inverter.
Yeah. Okay.
But it is
So
run-
shore power is this? This
it's
is running when
yeah.
you're on
So
shore power?
the way the electrical system was designed on this boat is shore power comes in, goes to the isolation transformer, a set of breakers, then goes to the multi-plus, which is an inverter charger, and then out to the system. So everything that's electrical on this boat is after the multi-plus, which means that you could, in theory, invert everything. But the only two appliances on board that are AC is the HVAC unit and the hot water heater and the outlets. Everything else is DC. Starlink is DC. My router is DC. Everything else is DC.
Okay, and you went for gas, a gas stove.
Again, same kind of thing. I don't have a generator. You know, part of me is like, the gas will always work if something happens to the electrical. It's not a complicated system. There's one hose that goes from the back of there through a shutoff valve.
Shut-off valve
back to the tank where it's got a leak tester, and there's a solenoid, switch.
Yeah, so it's belt and brace of safety.
It's just like, it fell into that category of, it's a simple system. I can't figure out a reason why I want to replace it, and I'm not going to put a generator on this boat yet. So like, I'm not going to be able to generate enough power to use an induction stove anyway.
And your sink here, I see you've got, is that seawater?
So that's a hand pump that you can divert from seawater or the freshwater tank if you want to. Either way, it saves electricity with the pump, but you can pull from either the tank or the open water.
You've got a valve somewhere that you turn? Okay.
These fiddles that they put on everything here, it's pretty cool. Which again just happened to be, something that just happened to be the right fit is this was like an IKEA cutting board that I had stuck in my basement.
Yeah.
And it fits
look at that.
Perfect.
Okay.
I mean, you couldn't have asked for a better thing.
Oh yeah.
It
looks like a $300 piece.
Yeah, I mean, no, this is IKEA, not expensive board. But
good.
Can't complain about anything that from an Alubat side. Some of the other stuff that's like aftermarket stuff is where most of my gremlins have been.
Yeah.
But
what's that with hardware? Is it or with electronics?
Yeah, some it's just like little things like the autopilot compass. When they configured it, it was in the Bay of Biscay in December. Not really super calm conditions to do it. So I don't know if that's really a gremlin, but we had to like move the compass, reconfigure that a little bit. Engine starter harness thing was like being a gremlin, but it was like they've always supported it. That was one of the concerns I had as the first American buying this model of boat, bringing it to the U.S. is like, what kind of support am I actually going to get when I get here?
Considering you're far south of the Atlantic.
But I was at the yard 3 times during construction, so I got to know the team there. I got to know the owner, Luke, and although it's it's usually kind of 2 days before you get a resolution because you email them. Our morning is their afternoon. They get to it by the next day. Mm-hmm. Then you're trying to go back and forth, but they've always been supportive and not and communicative. It's just you got to be comfortable with the time zone difference and stuff. But because the systems are all generally simple, and like there's no parts on this boat that you can't get here because they chose systems that are widely distributed, like ENO Force 10. I mean, you call the guys in British Columbia, they get you whatever parts you need, right?
And you won't have any problems.
Yeah, you don't have any problems with that.
And your winches and all that, what are they? Lumar?
They're Lumar, right? So you can get all the parts for that stuff you want.
There'll be no issue there. Yeah,
there's DCs. There's something special about that. And away you go.
Lovely. Okay, we'll just have a look at the engine compartment there, which is under the steps.
Yeah, so you can access it from the sides, but the way they've designed this from a usability perspective is, one, you can check your oil and your coolant without having to pull everything apart.
It's a lovely, clean, neat compartment.
You can get to your oil stick right there.
Okay.
So you have your coolant, your oil, and your raw water all without having to pull everything apart.
That's good.
Furthermore, with the removal of a few pieces, I'm just going to sit this up here instead of having to take the whole thing apart. You can, access the top.
Okay, go straight down.
Right down from there.
Yeah. Okay.
And then, and you can get to all the sides. I mean, there's additional compartments there, and back there.
I see that.
If you need to get further back on the engine.
Okay.
But then if you remove this,
Oh, look at that. Okay, you're straight down
It's
there.
all
to
right
the front.
there.
You've got everything. Yeah, you're
So
warm.
you've got an integrated oil changer system built into the engine.
Yep.
Your
You can pump it out
oil
there.
filter's there. Your impeller's there. One of your fuel filters is there. Everything's right here on the front of the engine.
Okay.
And here's another super cool feature. So if you have people having to work on the thing the whole time, you're having to run it back and forth, you can step.
Oh, look at, okay, so,
So,
you,
like-
don't you can still access the cockpit.
So like if you have to go start it and go check things and move things around, like you
Yeah.
still have full access to the front of the engine while you're doing it.
Yeah.
Which
You just want
that
to
is a
make sure.
feature with a benefit.
That, yeah, it certainly is. You just got to remember not to put your.
Well, yeah, I
thumbs
mean,
in
look,
there
I mean,
when
you
she's
know,
running,
I mean,
when
you don't
Thomas
keep
says.
it that way, but
No,
it's only
no,
if you're
no.
working on it and need to like move back and forth to go check.
Excuse
stuff
my
out.
ignorance, Kevin. What make is this engine?
It's a Nanny, so it's the Nanny 4.37, right? Yeah,
Okay.
4.37. So, I mean, it's the
4.37,
Marinized Kubota
Yeah.
engine. I mean,
Yeah, which are
in theory, you can start it with a
legendary, yeah.
screwdriver.
Okay.
We
Oh,
cruise at
shaft.
about 7 knots is what we were getting out of it at like 2,300 RPMs.
Okay.
Lights, you know, that you can turn on.
Oh, okay. So there's some downlighters there as well.
I call them cute. So if you notice, there is a shape here in the synthetic teak. So,
Okay.
I mean, it'd be a process, but you could do it. So if you pulled this out, and then you took out the flexi teak, underneath there is a panel, another aluminum panel that has, I don't know, 20 bolts in it.
Okay. A big
And you could
series
pick that
of-
panel out, and then you could put your crane in here and take the engine, and it comes right out through that hole.
Oh, that's good.
Now you'd have to put it all back, but
Yeah.
you're not having to wrangle it out of the companionway.
Oh yeah, yeah, and the
And
straw
with the
you're-
hard Dodger, how are you going to get a crane down in there?
Yeah.
Versus here, you can get a regular crane, pull it right out.
Pull it straight out. I don't know, is
So
that
they
how-
say. I've never tried it.
Is that how they put it in
No.
the yard?
So it's put in the yard before. So the hull up to the superstructure is welded on a jig,
Yeah.
and then they flip it, and this is all hand welded. The superstructure from like basically like the deck salon up is all welded upright, and then they weld the two together. So, but before they weld the two together, the fuel tanks go in, the engine gets laid.
Yeah, makes sense. Yep.
I'm sure they do other stuff as well.
Okay. But at least they're thinking forward.
Yeah, they're thinking forward, and because it's 100% welded, all of the woodwork inside there is done after the whole thing is welded together. So all of the woodwork goes through this companionway hatch and is fabricated
Okay. So
inside.
a couple of French guys spending a few weeks in here
Yes,
assembling
it is.
everything.
And they have a giant wood shop at their facility.
So a really big thank you to Kevin Leigh, the owner of this wonderful Alubat Ovni 370, for giving up his time and showing me around the yacht, and also to Rob from Alubat America for giving me great assistance in making this video. I've had a great time making the video. I hope you've enjoyed watching it. Any details you want to know about this yacht, please contact Rob from Alubat America. I'll leave his details in the description below. Thank you.